Stop for a second and think about the last time a conversation with a woman went wrong, the moment it shifted, the moment you felt her energy pull away. I'll tell you something most men will never hear. It wasn't about your looks, your money, or even your charm. It was about your words. One wrong phrase, one careless joke, one subtle comment, and everything you were building, connection, attraction, trust, starts to collapse. Here's the harsh truth. Women are wired to notice subtle psychological cues before they even consciously process what's being said. Certain phrases, certain tones, certain unconscious habits send signals to her brain that scream low value or insecurity, and attraction dies before you even know what hit you. Most men don't realize that it isn't just about what you say, it's about how your words position your energy. Are you confident, grounded, and composed? Or anxious, insecure, and needy? Women instinctively detect desperation, arrogance, and inconsistency. For example, over-explaining yourself to justify a point, constantly seeking validation, or making self-deprecating jokes to get approval. They're subtle, yet devastating. A woman might smile politely, laugh once or twice, but internally, her brain is evaluating whether you're worth her time. And if your words communicate doubt, immaturity, or desperation, you're already out. Another layer is hidden but critical: emotional intelligence. Certain offhand comments or assumptions can trigger deep subconscious turnoffs. Complaints, negativity, arrogance disguised as confidence, trying to outshine her constantly. These things reduce attraction on a psychological level. Women are scanning for signs of stability, intelligence, and emotional security. Every word either adds to your perceived value or chips away at it. Here's the real kicker. Men often don't even realize they're doing it. They assume joking about sensitive topics, oversharing personal problems too soon, or trying to impress through status symbols will work in their favor. But the subconscious response is opposite. Attraction is built quietly, psychologically, and intentionally. Words are not neutral, they are signals. Here's the truth most men don't hear. Women are turned off faster by unconscious signals than by anything deliberate. It's not a single phrase or joke, it's the energy behind it. The tone, timing, hesitation, and even subtle over-eagerness can communicate desperation, neediness, or insecurity. And once she senses it, attraction doesn't slowly fade. It collapses instantly. You can't charm your way back. You can't explain it away. The psychological impression has already been made. One of the most common turnoffs is oversharing personal struggles too early. Sharing vulnerabilities is powerful, but the timing matters. A man who unloads his insecurities within the first conversation signals instability, dependence, and lack of emotional grounding. Women are wired to assess stability quickly. They look for someone who can handle life, not someone who seeks to offload it onto them immediately. Your emotional weight, if offered too soon, creates subtle tension and triggers avoidance rather than closeness. Another silent turnoff is arrogance disguised as confidence. Bragging, name-dropping, exaggerating achievements. Women notice this subconsciously. Confidence is magnetic, but inflated ego is repelling. It communicates insecurity masked as superiority. The brain detects this immediately and instinctively devalues the connection. The irony is that many men overcompensate with words precisely because they doubt their value. And this paradox kills attraction faster than any obvious mistake. Negativity is also fatal. Complaining about life, past relationships, or even joking cynically too early signals a lack of resilience. Women are drawn to men who demonstrate emotional strength, not chronic pessimism. Your words are energy. They either add to her subconscious sense of safety or reduce it. The difference is instantaneous. Even subtle, seemingly harmless comments can signal low value. Interrupting, over-apologizing, seeking constant validation, or asking too many personal questions too soon can all trigger an internal red flag in her brain. These are psychological turnoffs that most men never realize. They happen beneath conscious awareness, yet the effect is undeniable. Here's a truth most men never confront. Attraction is built subconsciously before it is spoken aloud, and your words can destroy it in seconds. It isn't about saying the wrong thing in isolation. It's about patterns, signals, and energy. Every sentence, every tone, every hesitation communicates value or lack thereof before she even thinks about it. And women are wired to react faster than you realize. One of the most overlooked instant turnoffs is excessive validation seeking, asking questions like, "Do you like me?" or constantly fishing for reassurance signals low self-worth. Women may answer politely, but internally, they feel the subtle drain of your insecurity. The subconscious mind interprets it as instability, and attraction diminishes. Your charm or appearance can't counteract it. The energy communicates, "I don't trust myself," and that is one of the fastest ways to create distance. Another subtle killer is negative comparisons. Making remarks like, "You're not like the other women I've met," or "I've been burned before," communicates judgment or emotional baggage. It doesn't build connection. It triggers evaluation. Women unconsciously assess whether they are stepping into unresolved issues or emotional chaos. Attraction requires psychological safety. Words that hint at past resentment, cynicism, or judgment compromise that safety instantly. Humor can also backfire. Misplaced sarcasm, teasing that crosses boundaries, or jokes about sensitive topics are subtle turnoffs. Timing and context matter. A joke that attempts to be clever but lands as mean-spirited communicates disrespect or lack of empathy. Women are drawn to men who can make them feel understood, safe, and light-hearted, not anxious, tested, or defensive. Even one offhand comment can trigger a mental checkmark. "This man is not aligned with my sense of security or respect." Another point most men overlook: over-explaining or over-justifying yourself. Offering lengthy clarifications or defending your actions signals anxiety and a lack of self-assuredness. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need explanation. Women feel it in tone, pace, and the energy behind your words. Too much verbal effort destroys that perception instantly. Here's a hard truth most men never acknowledge. Women notice hesitation and uncertainty faster than charm or appearance. It's not the words themselves that break attraction. It's the subtle cues behind them. Pauses, overthinking, awkward laughter, or constantly checking for approval signal a lack of self-assuredness. Women feel it instinctively, and once they sense it, attraction fades before a single word is fully processed. One of the fastest turnoffs is emotional neediness disguised as interest. Complimenting excessively, trying too hard to please, or over-engaging in small talk conveys a dependency on their validation. Even when you think you're being polite or friendly, your energy communicates, "I need you to like me to feel okay." Attraction is built on security, not dependency. Women are wired to seek emotional strength, stability, and presence. Signals of desperation or insecurity trigger subtle avoidance instantly. Another instant turnoff is the alpha overcompensation trap. Some men, trying to project confidence, lean into arrogance, sarcasm, or dominance too early. What they perceive as charm often reads as controlling or dismissive. Women unconsciously scan for balance, strength without aggression, confidence without ego. When that balance is missing, the brain flags the interaction as unsafe or undesirable. It doesn't matter if you're attractive or wealthy. This misalignment destroys early-stage attraction faster than almost anything else. Negativity is another silent killer. Complaining about life, work, or past relationships may feel relatable or humorous to you, but subconsciously, it signals instability. Women are wired to seek men who can provide calm, security, and direction, not emotional baggage. Your words carry energy. Complaints, cynicism, or constant criticism reduce perceived value instantly. Even curiosity can backfire if misused. Overly personal questions too early or prying into sensitive topics communicates neediness or lack of boundaries. Women appreciate interest, but only when it's balanced with observation, patience, and self-possession. Overstepping that invisible line triggers subtle red flags in her brain. Another point most men overlook: over-explaining or over-justifying yourself. Offering lengthy clarifications or defending your actions signals anxiety and a lack of self-assuredness. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need explanation. Women feel it in tone, pace, and the energy behind your words. Too much verbal effort destroys that perception instantly. Here's a truth that most men never face head on. What you say is always secondary to how you make her feel. You could have the perfect words, the cleverest jokes, or the most impressive stories, but if your energy communicates insecurity, neediness, or disrespect, it all falls apart. Women feel these subtle signals before they consciously register your sentences. And once that emotional impression is made, attraction can vanish in an instant. One of the fastest turnoffs is inconsistency. Saying one thing and doing another, shifting between hot and cold, or over-explaining yourself creates cognitive dissonance. Women unconsciously detect that mismatch and interpret it as unreliability or low value. It doesn't matter if you have charm or status. If your energy is inconsistent, your words lose credibility. Stability is magnetic. Unpredictability is repelling. Another instant turnoff is passive defensiveness. When challenged, corrected, or teased, a boy will over-explain, justify, or argue defensively. A grown man responds calmly, with measured clarity, without needing to prove himself. Women are drawn to men who can handle challenges without collapsing emotionally. Defensive overcompensation signals insecurity, while composed engagement signals maturity, confidence, and strength. Over-familiarity is also a silent killer. Acting too casual too quickly, using overly intimate nicknames, or joking about personal subjects early on communicates lack of boundaries. Women may laugh politely, but subconsciously they detect the absence of self-respect. Attraction is built on respect first. Once respect is compromised, desire fades. Negativity, subtle arrogance, or joking at her expense are equally dangerous. A careless comment about her choices, her friends, or even herself, even if intended as humor, can trigger a psychological red flag. Attraction is deeply tied to emotional safety. Words that suggest judgment, criticism, or lack of empathy immediately reduce perceived value. Finally, remember this: women admire men who demonstrate calm, clarity, and self-possession. They respond to energy, not explanations. Every word you speak communicates either strength or weakness. Every phrase either builds attraction or erodes it. Here's the final truth most men never hear: what you say is only powerful if your energy supports it. A careless phrase, a rushed comment, or an insecure tone can undo minutes, hours, or even days of effort. Women don't just hear your words, they feel the energy behind them. And once that energy communicates neediness, insecurity, or disrespect, attraction disappears faster than you realize. One of the most damaging turnoffs is over-apologizing. Saying sorry for small mistakes, explaining yourself unnecessarily, or constantly trying to justify actions communicates weakness. Women sense this immediately. They don't need perfection. They need stability, self-assurance, and presence. A man who is overly apologetic signals low value, and that subtle perception erodes attraction instantly. Another instant turnoff is trying too hard to impress. Bragging, showing off, or name-dropping might feel like confidence, but women subconsciously read it as insecurity masked by performance. Attraction is drawn to calm self-assurance, not overcompensation. Your words should reflect who you are, not who you think she wants you to be. Energy is always louder than content. Negativity and judgment are also silent killers. Complaining about life, making critical jokes at her expense, or belittling others, even subtly, signals instability and emotional immaturity. Women are wired to seek emotional safety, not chaos. The slightest hint of disrespect or cynicism, even masked as humor, triggers a red flag in her subconscious mind. Boundaries are another critical factor. Overstepping, prying too soon, or treating her as emotionally disposable reduces perceived value instantly. Women notice if you respect your own space, time, and identity. Energy communicates boundaries more than words ever could. Here's the ultimate takeaway: your words are only as strong as the energy behind them. Calm, clarity, confidence, and composure are the invisible forces that make attraction inevitable. Misaligned words and energy are the fastest way to push her away. Every conversation is an opportunity to build respect, desire, and connection, or to sabotage it. So here's your final challenge. Think about the last interaction you had with a woman. Did your energy and words align, or did they unknowingly create disinterest? Drop your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to hear this truth before their next conversation. Take control of your energy, choose your words carefully, and watch how attraction shifts instantly.